Hi everybody, we're going to talk about the 7th grade Common Core standards that have to do with um, solving two-step equations and two-step inequalities. This is lesson 3.5 and lesson 4.4. When you're solving two-step equations and two-step inequalities, the goal has not changed. The goal is to still isolate the variable. In the first problem, we're going to be asked to go ahead and model using algebra tiles and then solve using algebra tiles. If I have 2x, that is represented by 2 x's. If I have minus 1, that's represented by a negative 1. And then if I have 5 positives on the other side, each one is being represented by a plus sign. This is the model that's represented by 2x minus 1 equals 5. In order to solve this, I need to go ahead and isolate the variable. I have 2 x's and I have a negative 1 on the same side. So in order to go ahead and combine like terms, I go ahead and add a plus 1 to both sides, creating a set of 0 pairs. That ends up leaving me that 2 x's is the same as 6 positives. I then know I need to divide. Division means grouping. So I'm going to group that these 3 positives go with this variable, and these 3 positives go with that variable, leaving me with x equals 3. In the other 4 examples, we're going to simply use algebra to solve. Still in the goal, isolate the variable. In this problem, I have negative 5c plus 9 equals negative 16. I want to combine like terms, just like I did in simplifying expressions. I have on one side 9 positives and 4 negative c's. So I'm going to go ahead and add 9 negatives to both sides. And that ends up being negative 5c is equal to negative 25. By going ahead and combining like terms, I now have a one-step equation. The variable is yet to be isolated because I have a negative 5 next to the c, which means multiplication. So I'm going to do the opposite operation, the inverse operation, which is divide by negative 5. Negative 5c divided by negative 5 is 1c. So c is equal to a negative divided by a positive is a positive, so positive 5. At any point in time when I'm solving, I can go ahead and use that value and evaluate it into the original expression or equation to check to see if I've done it correctly. In example 3, I'm also going to go ahead and combine terms. Some people get confused because they see a 3 here and they don't know if they're going to multiply by 3 or go ahead and add negative 5. Another way to look at this would be, this is really the opposite of z over 3. I can also look at it as this. Negative 1/3 z plus 5 equals 9, because the coefficient of the z is 1. So I now can visually see that z is being multiplied by negative 1/3, and I can combine like terms by moving the 5 over by adding negative 5. If I choose not to do that, I can go ahead and just look at it that z is being divided by negative 3 plus 5 equals 9. I'm going to go ahead and combine the negative 5s, or I'm going to go ahead and do the opposite inverse and move negative 5 to the other side. I now have z is being divided by negative 3, which equals 4. Z is being divided by negative 3, so I need to multiply by negative 3 on both sides. Negative 3 times z divided by negative 3 is just 1z or z. And then on the other side, I have 4 times negative 3, which is negative 12. When I solve inequalities that are two-step, I use the same process. The only thing different is I have to look for that red flag when I'm multiplying or dividing by a negative. The inequality direction sign changes. So I'm going to combine like terms, and in this case, I'm going to add negative 4 to both sides. When I do that, I get a negative 3d is greater than 15. I'm back to a one-step inequality, and then I ask myself, what's happening to the variable? It's being multiplied by negative 3. So I do the opposite, which is divide by negative 3. But because I'm dividing by negative 3, that greater than symbol becomes a less than symbol. So now I have d is less than negative 5. So I always like to think that anytime I multiply or divide by that negative, that should be a red flag right away to go ahead and switch that direction. Example 5 is the exact same thing we've already been doing, but I've combined solving two-step equations, simplifying expressions, and solving the inequalities. The first step in example 5 is to go ahead and distribute the negative 4 to every term inside the parentheses. Negative 4 times n is negative 4n. Negative 4 times negative 10 is positive 40, and that's less than 32. I'm going to combine like terms. 40 and 32 are constants, so I'm going to combine them by adding negative 40 to both sides. I have negative 4n is less than negative 8. I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 4. Red flag, it's a negative. So now that less than symbol is no longer a less than symbol, but a greater than symbol. While you're solving these, remember, we're going to model the same way we modeled one-step equations, and we're going to solve the same equations and inequalities the same way we did one step. The only additional step is going ahead and combining like terms before you're doing any multiplying or dividing. Be sure to watch through these notes more than once. Don't forget to start and stop as needed. If you have any questions, you can jot them down in the margins so you have them available for groups, or you can go ahead and send an email. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.